What do you get when you combine fancy elements of D&D, running your own business, and being an adventurer? Well, my friend, you get Ale and Tale Tavern. And if you're anything like me and wish to fulfill your Peggy Mitchell fantasy by being an unhinged landlady, well, look no further than this. Don't believe me? Well, let's get stuck in then. Oh, full disclaimer, if I ever call this Ale and Tavern talk or Ale and Tavern or anything to that device, my brain just isn't working. In Ale and Tale Tavern, you play as a budding tavern owner in a vibrant fantasy world. Your goal? Build a bustling tavern, serve drinks, and entertain adventurers who come through your doors each day. You'll fulfill orders, hunt for ingredients, grow crops, fight monsters, and occasionally kick out a drunken hero or two. Ale and Tale Tavern is, at its core, a management game with a quirky sense of humour, and I'm here for it. For me, first impressions and a good character creator are important to me, so I was really taken by surprise when I went to make my landlady. I loved the variety of outfits and hairstyles, but most of all, I loved how straight off the bat the game doesn't take itself seriously. I mean, if I wanted to, my patrons could be served by a slightly wacky landlady wearing suspenders and a bucket on her head. And the humour doesn't stop there. Soon you'll meet oddball characters like a shady merchant outside your pub, a talking cow, and my personal favourite, a talking scarecrow who's trying to get you to grow magic weed. I love him so much. He's just so random and he just feels like a character that Sam Riegel from Critical Role would play. There are more quirky characters that you will meet later on down the way, but I don't want to spoil it too much for you. At its heart, this is a management game, but like many games in the genre, it can get quite repetitive. My experience with Ale and Tale Tavern has been a bit of a roller coaster, and I would find myself stuck in a repetitive cycle. I'd prepare everything in my kitchen, gather or grow ingredients, then run my usual tavern shifts. I would then spend a few days doing quests and then start the rinse and repeat of hospitality work all over again, all the while praying no zombies would show up and scare my customers away. Whilst I enjoy the cozy elements of the game, I found the combat quite sluggish. That was until I could afford to get the musket with the bullets. After that, it just felt like I was speedrunning. It did help with making the quest easier and gathering ingredients though. I only wish that there was some sort of function where I could speed up the time, such as a bed or something. I'd often be focused on cooking or making ale, and due to the fact that the back door doesn't close and you can't lock your front doors, I would often find a zombie or two have silently waltzed in expecting some service. Look, I'm not a fan of jump scares, but at least in games like Minecraft, they have the common decency to alert me first. Now, speaking of cooking and alchemy, the mechanics are pretty straightforward, but I would always find myself going back and forth between stations because I would forget what ingredients I needed. All I'm saying is a little recipe book would really come in handy at a moment like this. Maybe something to happen in like a future update or something, I reckon. And saying that, I really felt like the game requires a bit of a proper tutorial. In Ale and Tale Tavern, you just kind of dumped right in, and I know that most people would just want to get on with it, but there are certain points in the game where I really needed some advice. I would be absolutely clueless on what I'd have to do, especially on a quest recently where I needed to lure some boars. Now, do I use apples? Do I use alchemy? Do I sometimes make some weird sort of pheromone for them to come and follow me? I have no clue, and I still haven't figured it out right now. And whenever you go into the quest guidelines or the descriptions, it doesn't really give you much of a way to go, but I guess it's a bit of trial and error. Yeah. Oh, and for all you cozy gamers out there, yes, you can fish in this game, and it's not just for cooking either, you can also use it for potions. The fishing minigame was surprisingly intuitive, which was such relief because I absolutely hate fishing in cozy games, and it was nothing like Stardew Valleys. In this, you simply just move your cursor around to match the little dials so the percentages go up, and then Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Overall, the game mechanics are pretty similar to other management games, but I personally feel that Ale and Tale Tavern serves a decent blend of gameplay that works. Now, my experience has mostly been single player, but the game is designed so you could play with your friends online. When I first booted up the game, a couple of random players popped in and out of my session. One was super helpful, would actually serve drinks, make food, you know, the usual multiplayer experience in a cooking game like this. And then the other one decided to steal my money without me knowing or noticing, and then kept coming back until I blocked them. After that experience, it completely put a sour taste in my mouth, and I didn't want to play any more of the multiplayer. In fact, it stopped me from inviting anyone else into my game after that. Trolza. One grotty apple spoils the bunch, or something like that. I still think the game has potential though, and if my friends do decide to pick up the game, I'd love for all of us to have our own tavern together. We need to have a Quest Junkies tavern, it goes without saying. I do worry that like Stardew Valley's co-op mode, progression might speed up too much, leaving us with little or nothing to do very, very quickly. Hopefully more content will come in the future, either through mods or updates or DLC. And saying that, if multiplayer isn't your thing, there is also a solo offline mode too. Whether you're playing multiplayer or solo, I can't deny how lovely the art style and the music is in this game. It's a somewhat cartoonish aesthetic, reminiscent of Raft and the Fable series, with the NPCs, monsters, and hero designs being as unique as the next. I particularly love the simple yet charming design of the Scarecrow. Have I mentioned he's my favourite character so far? Where I think the game lacks though, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm aware that this is probably more of a gameplay thing, the landscape is a little bit empty and ironically easy to get lost in. Sure, there are signs dotted along the path, but perhaps even a world map would be helpful. You can purchase a world map to hang up in your tavern, but what about one that you can use while running around doing quests? I kept getting lost, which was really frustrating, especially if I was trying to make it back to the tavern before nightfall. Again, I'm hoping this is something added in a future update. Along with the cozy and charming aesthetic, I must admit, the music's pretty chill too. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Bardcore if you listen to that on YouTube. The medieval setting allows for some perfect tunes, and if you save up, you can purchase a jukebox, which then you can unlock songs for your patrons to enjoy. That is unless they aren't already drunkenly singing their way out the door. My only note though about the characters is that every time you approach the garden or the stall at the front of the building, they keep greeting you.
Good day to you! Good day to you!
Like, don't get me wrong, I love that the game is fully voice acted, but my god, I don't need to be greeted every time I decide to go and sow some seeds in my garden or try to buy some more supplies. I'm gonna go a little bit off the cuff here with my final thoughts. Overall, I thought the game was a really fun time, but initially when I was researching it and I was given the code via Keymailer, again, thank you Keymailer for the code, I just thought it looked like any other low budget simulation game. You know, to be honest, that's mostly on my part, and also I think a bit on the marketing side with them, but don't judge a book by its cover. I've learnt that now, because once I played it, I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting a fully voiced game, I wasn't expecting so many recipes, and I think I've put about 10 hours into the game already over the last few days. I guess what I'm saying is that when you do decide to play the game, be open-minded. And I guess that leaves us with the burning question: is Ale Tale Tavern worth the time and the money? Yeah, I'm gonna say yes, it is, to be honest. Sure, there are parts of the game where it does need improving, but I'm sure that with future updates, DLCs, and even mods, that it will make it more of a cracking game. I would say that if you're a D&D fan looking for some cozy fantasy vibes with a bit of silliness, then I would definitely say that Ale Tale Tavern is worth your time, especially to scratch the itch between D&D sessions. Now, I'd love to hear about your own experience of the game. Have you tried it? Are you gonna play it? Either way, let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are and what you would call your tavern. I think I called mine Wild Brew after my D&D character's wild magic drink. I thought, so it's only worth it. If you enjoyed the video, why not give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you can see more lovely content like this. Also, your support really does mean the world to me. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you get yourself a pint of ale and have a good one. Bye. I was about to say Barbara Streisand, but is it Barbara Windsor? What's the name of Barbara Windsor's character in EastEnders? Get out of my pub. Something Mitchell. Peggy Mitchell.